What's good, YouTube? This is Licious Kid from ClimaxCombo, back with another Leaks of the Weeks. This week is Lock Horizon and Love Live, uh, second season extra booster. So since Love Live is starting, I'll be carrying over Lock Horizon along with Love Live, and honestly, not much things came out for Lock Horizon anyways. So yeah, I'll just be doing this week and probably the next 2 weeks. So yeah. Anyways, let's get started. Monday's card is the 0-0 Shojiro. During your opponent's turn, if your opponent has 3 or less characters, this card gains plus 2k. So during your opponent's turn, if they have less than 3 characters, which they most likely will, he'll be 0045, which is really annoying to deal with. It's exact copy of the Hakate. I think that's her name. I don't know, that one Shauna card. There's a exact card just like this in Shauna. That card's pretty annoying, especially if you don't draw into your Suicider. So yeah, overall this card is pretty damn solid. Next up we have the 0-0 Honoka 3-5 common. Music and Sweets. I'm surprised she's not Student Council now, because I mean this card's name is Student Council President Honoka, so she should be Music and Student Council. Whatever, not like the second trait ever matters in Love Live anyways, but still. Anyway, 0035, of course she has her demerit. When she's reversed in battle and you have 1 or fewer other music characters, place this card into your clock. This card is whatever, it's a 3-5 beater for red. Love Live already had one, they got one the second booster in the form of the Kotori. It was a 002k. If you had 2 or less characters, she got plus 15. I think that one is better than this Honoka, so yeah, because most of the time you do hit the Kotori's requirements, but whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Next up we have Monday's Leak. Yeah, so the 0-0, this girl. One of your characters are placed from stage into waiting room, and this card's in the backstage. You may pay cost, which is put her to the waiting room, and if you do, put that character back to the original border in rest. And then she has another effect. Put 2 of your characters to rest, look at the top card and either place it there or put it to the bottom of the deck. She has the whole pseudo encore thing that is, yeah, a lot of series have that. It's honestly whatever. It kind of depends on the series how good it is. And she has a top check, which is pretty cool. I guess it's an okay card if you really like pseudo encore, because at least she has a secondary effect to go along with it. So overall, she's an okay card. I don't know how good she's going to be in Lock Horizon. I don't see much use of this card in this series, to be completely honest. But yeah, she's here. But overall, I don't think she's that good. Next up, 105k. During your opponent's turn, he gets plus 1k, so he's 106k. Generic 6k beater for blue. Honestly, not that great. And lastly, for Monday, we have the 0-0 Nozomi. She's 2-5, common. When you have 1 or less other center stage characters, this card gets plus 1k, so she's a 0-0-3-5. Honestly, once again, just another 3-5 beater. It's not really hard splashing green into your Love Live decks, especially with the second booster with like the 0-0 Eddie Assist or even the Nozomi Searchers. And there's also the other 0-0-3-5 Nozomi beater from the first set. So overall, this card doesn't really add anything much to the set. Just another 3-5 beater. The 3-5 beaters are honestly of your choice, whichever ones you prefer. If you don't like the top check, you can run the Honoka, the Kotori, or even the Nozomi, or if you want the Mokyuto ones, the ones that hit 4k. Doesn't really matter whichever one you choose. It's just your choice, personal choice, to be honest. Next up, we have this 2-1 Yanta. He's a double R, and he's 7k power. So what he does is when your other music or magic character attacks, he gets plus 1k until the end of the turn. So if 2 other characters attack before assist, he becomes 9k, which is not as weak as the standard 10k ones, but he does have another effect. During the start of your climax phase, you may pay 1, discard a card. If you do, choose one of your opponent's character, move it to an empty border on his stage in stand, and this card gets plus 1k until the end of the turn. So pretty much, if your opponent has an open slot, during your climax phase, you can pay 1, discard a card. If you do, choose pretty much their assist. Choose one of their assists, and then move it to the front, and then Yanta can easily kill it, or any of your other characters can kill it, because when you use this effect, he'll become 8k base, and then 2 of your other characters attack, making him hit 10k. Overall, the cost of this card is essentially pay 2, because Nyanta himself does cost 1, and discard a card. So it's pretty much pay 2, discard a card, and then you get to move one of your opponent's characters to the front row and kill it. It's okay, it kind of just depends on what series you're playing up against. If your opponent has like really annoying assists or really strong assists, then Nyanta can serve you pretty well. So overall, I think Nyanta is an interesting card. If you're going to run Nyanta, you should probably only run 1 or 2. I wouldn't run more than 2. 2 would definitely be the max. I personally would probably just play one, but you can go up to two because Nyanta is an interesting card. I think in certain matchups he can really do well. So yeah, overall Nyanta pretty solid pretty solid card, and yeah. Next up we have the 00 Eddie. See, she lost her student council trait. She's sports, so why didn't she gain student? Whatever. That's just me ranting. Anyways, 00 music sports 1500. She's a common. This is a pretty interesting card. When she's played from hand to stage, you may place the top card of your opponent's stock into the waiting room. If you do, choose a card from your opponent's waiting room and place it into the stock. I'll go over that more in depth after a second effect. Okay, she's also a brainstorm, so you could pay one, put her to rest, mill top 4 every climax you hit, choose a card in your clock, but add it to your hand, and clock yourself 1 damage. Generic clock search brainstorm. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, generic clock brainstorm. But her real effect lies in her first effect, because when you play her, essentially you put the top card of your stock into the waiting room, and then you choose a card from their stock or in their waiting room back into the stock. This will most likely be a climax. The best situation to play this Eddie would be before they refresh. If your opponent has, let's say, 2 cards left in their deck and they have an open slot, you can just play the Eddie, put the top card of their, stock into the waiting room, and then choose a climax from their waiting room and put it back into the stock. You can attack directly, they take the 2 damage, and then they refresh. When you attack directly, they can't back up. It's going to be really hard for them to pay out that climax. So you force them to refresh with 1 less climax, which is really good. And this can be used for a lot of things, or that is probably the best situation you can use that for. If they don't have an open slot, let's say you could just put once again put a climax to the top. You can attack a weak character, like something like, let's say you're 8k and you attack something that's like a level 0, like 2k. You force them to back up if they want to pay out the climax, but if they do back up, they minus 1 hand size, they lose a stock, and their character dies anyways. You can force them to be in these awkward situations where is it worth paying out the climax and minusing hand size to get the climax back into the waiting room. So overall, I think Eddie is kind of situational. It seemed kind of situational, but still a pretty solid card. To be honest, I really wish she had another secondary effect, maybe it shows like a really strong, maybe it shows like a, I don't know, a better secondary effect I think would be better, because the pay 1 brainstorm I think is not really needed, because we already have the 1-0 Umi from, you already have 1-0 Umi, the brainstorm assists, and that one's already really good. That's already like an automatic 3 or 4 of in every deck, and you don't need more brainstorms than that. So I wish she had a second effect, but her first effect is solid. An interesting tech card you can run in your Love Live decks, but not necessary. But overall, I think Eddie is an interesting card. Will I choose to run it? I don't know. Maybe. My deck space is kind of tight, so I don't know if I'd be running this Eddie. But overall, still a solid card. And if you don't want to invest $10 per Eddie or $15 now, man, that card is expensive, then you can always choose to run this as your brainstormer. Anyways, next card is this double R Akatsuki 001K double R. When this card's reversed in battle and your opponent is level 0, then you may reverse that character. Generic, level 0 Suicider. However, she has 2 effects. Place 1 of your characters to rest. She gets plus 1k until the end of the turn. So she does sit at a lower base power of 1k. But, she has the potential of reaching up to 3k with her effect. This can be both a good and a bad thing, because there can be some situations where her base power forces you to suicide, where let's say if you're a 1-5 or 2k base suicider, like a normal one, then you wouldn't have to suicide, leaving you with another attacker. But still, honestly, at the end of the day, it's not too big of a deal. This effect is okay. It depends if you run some form of like level 0 assist or like good back row assist, which is possible because they do have like the brainstorm. Oh yeah, the Marielle assist. So yeah, overall this Akatsuki is pretty solid. Kind of sucks that she's double R just because, you want 2 to 4 suiciders at least in your decks. And her being double R can be a little difficult if you're trying to pull it, and it would probably end up being pretty expensive for this card. So overall, it's your suicider, at least they got one. So yeah. Next up, another pretty boring card, 0015 Hanayo. Pretty much Lols, weapon and animal. Should be music and animal, but it's no big deal. Anyways, when she's played for hand to stage, you can pay 1, discard a card. If you do, search your deck for a music character and add it to your hand. Generic searcher, however, this is now blue now has a generic searcher, which is pretty cool because now you don't have to run awkward blue cards to splash blue into your deck like the 00 Rin. I probably am going to take that card out of my deck once this Hanayo comes out and then just run 2 of these just to add more blue to my blue count. But overall, this Hanayo is okay just because she adds more blue. It's easier to add blue into your decks now because of this Hanayo. Because, you know, most decks should run 1 to 2 generic searchers. And since Hanayo is blue, it's really easy to splash blue into your decks now with Hanayo. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty pleased with this leak. Lastly, Friday, usually all the cool stuff comes out, but this week, nothing cool comes out. For Friday, they just re-leaked a bunch of Lock Horizon cards. It released a bunch of Lock Horizon cards with the foil art. So this is the 00 Suicider, foil art, level 3 Natsugu foil art, the Nyanta, foil art. I'm assuming this is the light novel illustration, which is really cool. I really dig the art, but yeah, it's really cool seeing all the alternate art, the hollow art for all the cards. So yeah, that's it. I'm sure you guys already seen this by now, maybe. But yeah, nothing new for Love Live during Friday. So yeah, that is the end of the leaks of the week. Really fast video. What is this? 11 minutes. Probably the fastest leaks of the weeks I've ever done. But yeah, honestly, nothing interesting or exciting came out for the sets. Just like possibly yeah, they're just nothing special. But yeah, Chekkerz already has 10 Lock Horizon boxes pre-ordered. He's already paid for them. They should be coming in Monday or Tuesday, and we'll be doing a recording on the same day. So look forward to Lock Horizon deck or box opening next week. And next week should be Love Live and Angel Beats. And do keep in mind, Angel Beats is getting an English release. So if you are an English player, then you can look forward to that. But yeah, that is all I have for this week. And until next time, guys.